You know, what goes around comes around, and sometimes when we go out there and make videos comparing and contrasting guys from two very opposing fan bases, it comes around in the weirdest way possible, because today we are heading over to the Philadelphia Flyers and talking about their top prospect that is set to making his NHL debut in 2024-2025. And what Ian said about another prospect that belongs to the Montreal Canadiens. Today, we are talking about Matvei Michkov. Now, if you know exactly how I like to run this YouTube channel, I don't like to give you the scoop right away. I don't like to just toss it out there, say, hey, this is what happened, goodbye. I like a little bit of foreplay in there. I don't like to look at my channel as a news channel. I like to look at my channel as a reaction and response channel, a commentary channel where I give you my thoughts on things. And so, when it comes to this Michkov conversation, hey, you're gonna have to sit there and wait, or go to the timestamp that someone's inevitably gonna put in the comment section below as to figuring out what Michkov says about Demidov. Yeah, spoiler alert, we're talking about Ivan Demidov of the Montreal Canadiens too. Now, the reason we are going over this is because of an article published on lapresse.ca. Take a look at this. It was published by Simon-Olivier Lorange from yesterday, 5:16 p.m., and the title of the article reads this: "You never get bored with Matvei Michkov." Now, La Presse normally does stuff for Montreal-based media, and of course, I mean, La Presse, right? French. But this article does go out there and talk about the Michkov conversation. It goes over a bunch of really interesting comments made by him at the NHL Rookie Showcase, and Lorange goes out there and highlights pretty much his entire experience going throughout the event and making some comments on guys that were there. Here's how everything started out, spread out in two rows, unsurprisingly. Montreal Canadiens prospect Lane Hudson was in the middle of the bottom row. The players were starting to get impatient as they waited for two latecomers. Michkov and his Flyers teammate Ivan Demidov then appeared to the sarcastic applause to their comrades. Laughter could be heard all over the arena. The young man with a hard face didn't join in on the fun. Less than 1 hour later, Matvei Michkov appeared in front of about 15 journalists. However, although his GM Danny Briere recently told La Presse that the forward's English was improving rapidly, it still seems like he has a few lessons to learn. Okay, you know what? Pause. Matvei, you don't even gotta worry about it, bud. English is one of the most difficult languages on the planet to learn and master. Heck, I grew up speaking this language and people still think that I suck at it. But of course, the guy is only like, what, 19 years old? He doesn't need to be perfect at English just yet. The organizers, therefore, sent Nikita Chibrikov, a right-winger drafted in the 2021 draft by Winnipeg, to act as interpreter for Matvei Michkov. Chibrikov, who perfected his English last year in the American Hockey League, had provided the same service a few minutes earlier to Ivan Miroshnichenko of the Capitals. Really nice to see Nikita Chibrikov do that, you know? Winnipeg Jets prospects, eh? I mean, some of them can be very multifaceted. Of course, though, this is where we start to get into the comments that Michkov made. Very focused and even stoic, Michkov spoke soberly about his enthusiasm to wear his orange Flyers jersey, marked with the number 39. He said he loves the city of Philadelphia and appreciates his first contracts with members of the team. Asked by a reporter if he had spoken with head coach John Tortorella, he said yes, but said the content of the conversation would remain between them, an answer that Tortorella wouldn't have minded, come to think of it. Then there was a conversation about Ivan Demidov. This is what Michkov says, that it's good to have a Russian on the team, we can follow each other everywhere. Then about his first meeting with Danny Briere. I'm grateful to him and to the organization. I was quickly excited by the prospect of playing for the Flyers. And yeah, you should be, Matvei Michkov. Danny Briere seems like he went through hoops and hurdles to make the Philadelphia Flyers available as an option for this guy. All the conversing with SKA St. Petersburg and all the conversations there. You know, honestly, now that I think about it, with Ivan Demidov having the treatment he has had with SKA, it's kind of a miracle seeing how SKA has been sticking up for their prospects and allowing these guys to take big and proper steps in their developments, compared to what we had been seeing out of this team and this hockey league in the KHL in years prior. It's very rare, I would say, to see a guy actually exhibit this kind of openness and communication and proper development. as a prospect in the NHL. Of course, though, SKA did not actually play Michkov last year, they loaned him out to Sochi, but now Danny Briere opened the door to making things happen for Philadelphia. Finally, and most importantly, and this is what you clicked on the video for, in response to a question about Ivan Demidov, a compatriot drafted by the Montreal Canadiens last June, Michkov said that he's a very good guy. He can do everything on the ice. It's just a shame he's in Montreal and not in Philadelphia. Moreover, he didn't want to talk about his goals or his expectations for the upcoming training camp, at the end of which he will make his NHL debut after a seemingly interminable wait. The season is still far away, Michkov says. I don't think much about the future, he concluded. Which is not without irony, coming from a player whose budding career is still one of the most debated topics of recent years. The article will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and see more about Michkov and the circumstances here. But I wanted to go over those comments made by Ivan Demidov. Yes, there's a bunch of admiration here, as there should be, because Michkov and Demidov were the top two Russians in the two previous NHL drafts. A lot of people super excited to see them and their careers. But of course, Michkov saying it's a shame that Demidov is a Hab and not a Flyer. It's kind of fan servicey, it's kind of fantasy booking material. At the same time, that doesn't mean it's realistic. If you look at the 2024 NHL Entry Draft and you see where the Philadelphia Flyers were, I mean, their first pick was 13th overall, Jett, whom they took over a bunch of other guys that you could say maybe shouldn't have gone around that spot. But Ivan Demidov was taken 5th overall. There's no way in hell Demidov would have been available for Philadelphia if the Canadiens hadn't picked him. Demidov might even be a steal at 5th overall. Who really knows? Same thing you could say about Michkov from a 7th overall spot in the previous draft. There certainly is a lot of talent and a lot of potential out of these young Russian players. It's just a matter of time before we see that fully manifest in the NHL. For Michkov specifically, his 7th overall ranking is honestly undervalued too when you consider the fact that Michkov for years was linked alongside of Connor Bedard. There was a period maybe in 2020, 2021, 2022 where you couldn't speak of Bedard's name for a second without somebody bringing up the existence of Matvei Michkov. And I guess there were some extra parties like the Olympics, for example, that made that narrative even bigger than it needed to be, but Michkov had so much hype around him, and the only reason he slipped in the draft was a potential disconnect between him and the teams that were interviewing him, and the contract situation with SKA St. Petersburg, something that Danny Briere very much went to hell and back to be able to fix. So for Matvei Michkov, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all his comments about the start of the season. What are your thoughts on the way he had talked about Danny Briere and Ivan Demidov as well? The fact that Demidov and Michkov had a few opportunities to maybe even playing on the same team will always astound me. I mean, if the Montreal Canadiens took Michkov at 5th overall last year and then Demidov 5th overall this previous year, who knows what the Canadiens' forward core would have looked like. Imagine that, eh? Laine, Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Doc, Michkov, Demidov, and whomever else. Newhook or something. Owen Beck, who knows? There are so many options here that could have gone down had the Michkov-Demidov partnership continued into the NHL, but that of course is not the reality we live in. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, though, about Michkov's comments about Demidov, and what are your thoughts about his upcoming season as a whole. Philadelphia Flyers fans, what are your expectations here? How many points do you think the big MM is going to be able to get in Philly under John Tortorella, and under a system that could use a top-tier prospect who can score goals? He could be the Cutter Gauthier replacement. Now, of course, you probably would have wanted to see Gauthier and Michkov together, but, you know, sometimes you can't get what you want, especially when the player just straight up does not want to sign with your team. Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about expectations for Matvei Michkov in 2024-2025. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.